pretty much. And
Fair
also, if
enough.
someone else wants to listen to it, I mean, it's private, but I can give it to other people. Okay, I think we're good.
Okay. All right. So starting from the top of the replication tree, I suppose.
Hmm.
Um, you know the basic master setup that we have for our
Yeah.
7 shards. They all
Hmm.
replicate to what we call the sanitarium hosts, or they used to be called pre-labs DBs.
Hmm.
Uh, Presently on, I think, two of the boxes, 1069 and 1057. Those boxes run MySQLD multi-instances, so one instance per shard upstream,
Okay.
separate
Hmm.
process, replicating in. They have on them, I don't know if you can get onto those boxes at all. You're welcome to get on and have a look around. Just use the MySQL client if you can.
Okay.
Jump on to, say, what do we do? DB1069.
1 second.
Actually, I don't know how you connect to it. They're running on different ports, so you're not going to get it using the MySQL client unless you connect to, say, port 3311 for S1, 3312 for S2, and so on.
What's the machine it's on? DB.
Okay, so DB1069.
Okay.
So if you connect to DB1069 and hit port 3311, not 3306,
Mhm.
3311, you'll find the S1 instance as an example.
Uh,
How are you connecting out of interest?
I'm just an SSH from the command line with dash
Okay.
P. Oh shit, that's like the wrong command line.
You can probably come from Terbium or Tin if you prefer. I mean, that's whatever's easiest.
Okay. Minus.
Or I can go and find some stuff and paste it for you. I might get there sooner,
Yeah.
hey? That could work too.
Um, yeah, I'm trying to figure out what username and password to use.
Okay, well, if you jump onto the server as root, then you can use the root account will have a
Okay.
password set up in the home folder. If you're going to connect externally, you'll need to supply it yourself
Yeah.
and go and get it from private or whatever.
Uh, Wait, root's home doesn't actually have a password. It just says sync host.
Uh,
Okay, I guess that might have a
it has
password.
a no. So if you connect as root, it will use the
Oh,
local.my.cnf, which is
okay,
the
okay,
local. Yeah.
cool. I'm in. Cool.
Okay. Cool. All right. So jump in EN and do a show triggers.
Huh.
So basically, we have a list of tables and fields which are private. The filtering happens at two levels. First of all, the entire wikis are filtered out
Hmm.
using replication rules. You
Hmm.
can see them looking at the realm file in Puppet. So you'll see there's a private wikis and a private tables
Right, right. Hmm.
array in Puppet. Those are used to generate the replication rules. These boxes, the sanitarium boxes, filter out entire wikis. Also, they filter out entire tables. And then
Hmm.
finally, they use triggers, as you can see, to null out, or basically zero out, create empty strings, whatever it might be, for individual fields.
Right.
So three different layers, basically.
Hmm.
These
Okay.
boxes are set up with row-based replication, so they replicate the actual row binary data rather than the SQL statements
Right.
downstream to labs. Stop me if I rush on too quickly.
No, 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 this is
Uh,
fine.
the reason that they replicate the row-based stuff is because we don't even want the queries to actually appear in the binary log on labs. Labs ideally should have nothing on the hard drives
Right.
that is private, even if it's hidden by views or security,
Hmm.
whatever. The idea is it never makes it past the
Hmm.
sanitarium. But that's about it. That's as complex as it gets. So there are 7 instances on this box here running, replicating each shard. But presently there are 2 boxes that are handling it, mainly because it's not one single point of failure.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
That's really all the Sanitarium does. I dug that out of. It was a long story. I dug that out of Ash's home folder after he left. Figured out how it all went together.
I think, yeah.
I'll post you the scripts that we currently have that originally started as his and then that I hacked up to get going because we needed to figure out what the hell was going on.
Right.
In IRC, there's a link for you there.
Okay.
Three links.
Redactron.
Yeah, Redactatron is. I think he intended it to be something else entirely, a much bigger deal, but it evidently never got there. So those three scripts, a couple of bash scripts, and a list of fields with a kill or keep.
Okay, so they just generate these triggers.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
Okay.
This is something that we've been meaning to clean up for some time, do in a nicer way, but at the moment it works, and we really need to solve other problems first.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but it's all there. So,
okay.
any questions about this layer? I mean, it's pretty straightforward, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll move on to labs. So LabsDB, I'd say just get on to 1001 because it is going to be the S1 replica in labs.
Oh.
This is where it gets all fun, and this is the bit that you'll be having lots of fun time with.
Interesting. It's rejecting my key.
For LabsDB 1001.
Should I log in as root instead? Yeah, it is rejecting my key.
I don't know. It lets me in. That could be a current question. I'm not entirely sure, but
okay.
Yes, no, it should let you in. It should let you in the same way as the production machines.
Okay.
You should root direct. Really would be horrible, but yeah.
Yeah. Let me try. Oh, no, mind, it works. I was just in the wrong machine.
Okay.
I was still in the DB machine, and yeah, no mind. Okay.
You're trying to jump through 2 layers. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So LabsDB 1001. If you're in as root, you should be able to do a show all slaves status.
Okay. Let me just get to the MySQL shell. Okay, does this have a my.conf as well?
I don't know. I don't. I see. I never log in locally, so I do.
Okay, yeah, it does actually have a my.conf.
Okay, it's probably set up the same way.
Yeah.
It uses the same Puppet classes, so it should be.
Right. Just do. Oh, it's empty password. I see. No, it's not. There is a my.conf, but it's kind of fucked up.
It's entirely possible that it's never actually been used on the LabsDBs.
Yep.
So I would suggest that you come in from Tin or Terbium, for example. I usually come via Terbium or via the Iron, the Ops Bastion.
Okay. So I just use the SQL helper script.
Yeah, sure, you can do that.
No,
I don't think that'll work. I think that'll connect.
Yeah, that doesn't actually work. Yeah.
Okay. Let's step back. You need to have somewhere, and potentially you could use the DB1069 root my.cnf to sort this out right now. But if you're going to connect to these things long term, I would say have something set up on the Bastion so that you can connect in using the password.
So I can just, is it the same password for all of these things?
The root password is the same on Labs, yes.
Okay.
LabsDBs. It's not the same on any of the other Labs boxes, but only these ones because they're in a production realm.
Right. Okay. Cool. Then just let me just do that. Okay.
Ah, I remember when I used to do all of this stuff. Now, now I have an SSH tunnel that connects a local MySQL client, so it's nice and
Ah,
fast directly through.
nice.
So none of the authentication sits out there. It's all
Is a problem. Okay, so I'm in on LabsDB now.
okay. Great. So do a show all slave status, and maybe a \G to make it readable.
It's show slave status.
Show. Okay, I just put it in IRC. So
Okay. Oh, slaves. I see. That's what I was getting wrong.
slaves plural. Yeah.
Haha. Okay.
Okay, so these are MariaDB 10 instances, which are
Mm-hmm.
using the multi-source
Mm-hmm.
replication. So
Mm-hmm.
there should be one pair of replication threads for each upstream shard, all coming
Okay.
down here. It's all row-based though, so you really should never see any queries executing. It's all just
Right.
pulling it in. Corin's magical script, which you've probably seen, it's in operation software. Hang on,
Mm-hmm.
here's a link, ISC.
Yeah, this I've seen.
Yeah, so what that does is it basically creates a fake database schema for each wiki with _p at the end,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and then creates all the views, which are the lovely unoptimized things that people are fighting with in labs every day.
Right.
So from the audit perspective,
Mm-hmm.
I think you can probably see where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
We want to start off and firstly say, does any of the data appear in the genuine wiki databases here that we don't want to appear? Is it correctly being filtered in the sanitarium?
Right.
And then are the fields being correctly filtered in the views? And then I think some penetration testing to see whether you can get it out, whether you can grant yourself different permissions to get access
Right.
to data that you shouldn't have, that sort of thing. Whatever you can think
Okay.
of to basically break it.
Okay. Okay, I think that makes it a lot more clearer. So the views are essentially just like a last resort defense mechanism in case the
Right, yeah,
sanitarium just kind of fuck up.
that's right. So we originally always intended to have two layers, but at one point about a year ago there was a breach. Some
Right,
data
right,
went through,
yeah.
and so
Uh-huh.
Corin then went and redid the views to make sure that even if we assume that upstream is working correctly, we need to make
Right.
sure we have a double layer. Now, unfortunately, that means that some of the views suck because
Yeah.
they don't propagate indexes properly and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So if we get through this and we figure out that we can sanitize it in a slightly better way,
Mm-hmm.
particularly with regard to things like the views that have the _user index rubbish at the
Right.
end, then
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to pursue that. But at this point, we're not
Okay.
confident enough of the setup to know that we can go and do that.
Okay. So if we are like really, really sure the sanatorium is okay, we could actually get rid of the views.
Yeah, so I think we can simplify some of them so that they
Yeah.
were simpler and more likely to use
Yeah, yeah.
indexes as
Mm-hmm.
expected. And we
Mm.
could potentially even look at whether we have, say, static hourly snapshots pulled from the sanitized data, but actual real tables. So maybe some people who are using tools who don't need to be right up on the replication
Right.
every
Can run
second,
faster. Right.
they might be okay with running more optimized queries on a static data set that we regenerate. I don't know. That's sort of all up in the air at the moment.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
So
cool. So this makes a lot
questions?
of sense.
Yeah.
Um, hmm.
Now, there's one extra thing which will be
Uh-huh.
coming on the scene in the next little while, although I haven't had time to finish it. And that is presently you'll notice that the sanitarium is working on a blacklist approach.
Right. Yeah.
So it's blacklisting wikis, it's blacklisting tables, it's blacklisting fields. what we ideally should be doing is switching that to a whitelist approach. So nothing can even get through. If they create a wiki upstream, it shouldn't propagate through until we actually tell the sanitarium to do it.
Mm.
That's harder with replication rules because it's not harder, it's just not as pretty. It's not as easy to
Yeah.
run from Puppet.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been messing about with an alternative approach, which is based on a project called Tungsten Replicator. It's a open source product that allows you to replicate between multiple types of databases, MySQL, Postgres, whatever else it might
Oh,
be.
wow. Okay.
One of the benefits of it is that it would allow us to do a lot of this filtering using a whitelist approach. But that's not ready yet. But I think that if you identify a fair number of holes or negatives here, that might give us some incentive or resources
Right.
to go and do that.
Okay. Cool. So what I
And
think I'll do now. Okay, sorry, go on.
one thing that I'll just throw in there because I think you'll like it.
Mm-hmm.
I just mentioned then that if we do go and do Tungsten, that would open us up to replicating to Postgres, which I think some
Okay. That would be
people
really,
might find
really, really
exciting.
good. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe I should find enough holes then.
Yeah, so
Uh,
if you can show that this could be done in a much better way, then Eric's going to come to me and say, "Listen, get on this other stuff that we're talking about. At that point, we can invest time."
Right. Okay. So what I think I'll do now is actually go run through the MediaWiki database layout again, um, and then come back to the replication rules, do a manual pass, and then figure out how we can automate this so we can run this, I don't know, once a week or some appropriate timescale
Yep.
to continuously make sure, like continuously audit it, so we don't have to do it manually ever again after the first time.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Now, the audit script that I linked to before only works on Sanitarium. It has never looked at Labs, so that's why I'm
Right.
interested to see what you find.
Okay.
Because I think we need to have two of them. We need to, whatever we come up with, we have to keep both layers.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. So that sounds good. I'll poke you again if I have any other questions as I start doing this, and I'll also convert whatever we just talked about into a documentation, put on Wikitech.
Definitely. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'll
Now,
do
now
that.
the other bit that
Mm-hmm.
eventually we should look at, and I don't know how involved you want to get.
Mm-hmm.
Corin's Perl script, I think, could be done in other ways. I think we could look at maintaining the views on Labs uh, in a little bit more of a, I don't know, there are lots of other ways that we could do that. I'm sure you can think of a few.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. Yeah,
so
this mixes.
now Perl, I happen to know Perl, so it's not a big deal for me. It hasn't been a big deal, but you said you don't, and I think that it would be
Yeah,
better in the long term to come up with another approach. I'm not really sure
yeah,
how we'd want to do that. But if you want
definitely.
to come up with
Yeah.
ideas, feel free.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. The script also mixes like data and code in the same thing, which I'm not too
Yeah,
much of a fan of because you can't really just like, oh, this is running with the same config as this.
right.
So that's definitely something I'd look into and see if we can rewrite this to be nicer than how it is now.
Yep, good.
Yeah, this could definitely use a bit of improvement, I think. So that, I mean, especially if you have an audit script, right, it should like be able to access what this is doing so it can check against that.
Exactly,
Um,
yes. And at the
yeah.
moment, Corin does
Uh-huh.
that by connecting up to the sanitarium and doing this MySQL dump business, which pulls the schema down. And I'm not really certain how it works or that it has ever worked correctly, although he says that it does, and I guess he's tested it. But it's not comforting to me to have that
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, especially for things like this. I think if we can't like type a command line and then get like bunch of statuses saying okay, 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 not okay, it is
Yeah,
a bit
yeah,
concerning. Yeah.
yep.
Cool.
So when this runs, when maintain replicas runs, as I
Hmm.
understand it, it runs from one of the other LabsDBs, I think, or
Hmm.
maybe it's Corin will know which host it runs from.
Hmm.
And it's checked out locally in the root home folder, and it's run manually from the command line. And I believe he has
Oh,
another method for setting up periodic. Maybe it's cron driven. I'm not sure. We should figure out where that is as well and what's happening, so we know when all this stuff is changing.
right.
Um, so that we don't, have to expect Corin to always be available to
Yeah,
go and do stuff. Yeah.
definitely. And also, if possible, just puppetize the entire thing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll hit up on Corin when he's around to see what exactly he does when he wants to add new things. And then I'll start work on this next week.
Fantastic. Sounds good. I look forward to fantastic things.
Okay. All right. I'll also just email you or ping you on IRC if there's anything else that comes up.
Okay, no worries, Evie.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. See ya.
See ya.